All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show here on Sunday, May 2nd. We are coming to you live through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can reach us anytime in the comment section of any of the live streams. And if you can't catch the show live, you can always catch the show as a podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. So I'm Andrew Pizzelli, no Christian Lauber here today. He's got some family business to take care of, a little bit of a maybe a surprise happening, but that's all I'll say about that. But Christian's gonna get a head start on enjoying a beautiful day. I'll be joining him shortly, but we were live Thursday for the NFL draft, which is going to be the lead story again here today. We did about 4 hours. We both were kind of collectively losing our minds by the end of the first round, which I'll blame the NFL for, because when you say the draft starts at 8 o'clock and you do a whole hour of like pomp and circumstance beforehand, and then you go on for another half hour before the Jaguars even go on the clock to make their pick, it really kind of annoyed us. It annoyed everybody, and that meant that by 11:30 we were all checked out. But there were no surprises at the end of the draft. There were some surprises at the top of the draft, and I guess we'll start there. So like I said, we're going to talk NFL draft here to lead off the show. Not going to dwell too long on any one thing because, as I said, we did 4 hours of draft coverage on Thursday. So if you want more of the immediate reaction and the guttural reaction to some of our picks, or some of the picks, go check out the draft show. That's on YouTube and Facebook. You can go back and rewatch it, or if you just want to listen to it, if you want to put it on and let it play out, get the podcast. But listen, we'll go through the draft here. So we'll start at the top. Everybody knew Trevor Lawrence, no surprise, number 1 overall pick. Zach Wilson, no surprise. That's been projected for a while now. San Francisco, this is where the fun began, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. They end up taking Trey Lance. Indications would be Jimmy Garoppolo is staying in San Francisco, and Trey Lance is going to sit for a year and learn behind Garoppolo, and they'll do exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs did a couple of years ago. Next year, Garoppolo will probably be let go, cut, traded, whatever, and Trey Lance, you're the man now. But the Niners are all in to win a Super Bowl this year. Now, Garoppolo could not be on the team this year if, say, Aaron Rodgers goes there. But we'll talk about that later. Atlanta takes Kyle Pitts. No surprise. Cincinnati thought they might go O-line. They go wide receiver, Jamar Chase. Reunite Joe Burrow with one of his favorite targets. That made sense. Detroit, again, rebuilding team. They had needs all over the place. Kind of surprising that they went wide receiver. But Jalen Waddle, one of the best slot receivers in the draft, they take him. Penny Sewell to Miami, again, one of the best offensive linemen. Miami's they're building a really good football team. And then this is kind of where, this is that point of the draft where you're not sure what's going to happen. Carolina and Denver come up, and there's rumors both of them might be trying to trade. Both of them might be trying to move back. Ends up being J.C. Horn to the Panthers, and then the Denver Broncos, who during the day, with all the reporting about Aaron Rodgers potentially leaving Green Bay and wanting to force his way out, that the Broncos are one of the spots that he is considering. And so you wondered, what are the Broncos going to do? They just traded for Bridgewater, so they're not going to draft a quarterback. Do they draft a wide receiver maybe here, try to appease potentially getting Aaron Rodgers? Do they go after Devontae Smith? Instead, nope, they do what the Packers did, which was, we're going to draft defense. And they go at Patrick Surtain the second. Then the Eagles, I know Christian will like yell at me from afar. I still find it surprising that teams did an interdivision trade. Anytime that happens, I just find it surprising. It is what it is. So the Eagles and the Cowboys swap. Eagles move up to take Devontae Smith. Then the big one. The Giants are sitting there, and Chicago makes the big move. They jump up from 20 to 11, and they pick Justin Fields. He's the next quarterback off the board. Dallas then takes Micah Parsons. Chargers, Rashawn Slater. The Jets, Vera Tucker. And that leaves the New England Patriots at pick 15 to take Mac Jones, the 5th quarterback off the board. So you had 3 quarterbacks go in the top 3. Then Justin Fields, who knows? Who knows how far these guys, if say Chicago didn't trade up, I mean, would Justin Fields have gone to any of the other teams before them? I don't know. It would have been interesting to see what happens. I mean, maybe Washington then takes Mac Jones if the Patriots take Justin Fields, but we'll never know for sure. But they move up and get Justin Fields, and then Mac Jones. And Thursday night, I think me and Christian were both kind of down on the pick. I have come around a bit. I still don't know completely how to feel about it because it's not like the Patriots moved up. It's not like they said Mac Jones is our guy and they jumped up 2 spots to ensure that they got him. I think Justin Fields is a little more of an exciting pick, and that would have been like if he was there or both of them were there and you picked Justin Fields, you're picking him over somebody else. Mac Jones was the 5th quarterback off the board, and he was projected to be the 5th quarterback off the board, and you got him at a spot where you probably figured you'd get him. Now, if the Patriots really, really loved Mac Jones and he was going to be their guy, this is great because you didn't have to give up anything to get him. He came, he fell to you. And you'll never know unless Bill tells you otherwise what their plans were. If, Mac Jones was just, hey, we needed quarterback and we drafted quarterback because he was the quarterback that was there. That doesn't make you feel that much. That doesn't make you feel good about the pick if it was just, well, we needed a quarterback. Because we make fun of teams that do that. Oh, well, we needed a quarterback, so let's just draft the quarterback that's available in the first round. We make fun of the Jets and the Bears for years and all the teams that have struggled with their quarterback situations. The Dolphins, too, for years did that. The Bills, basically the AFC East. The Patriots have made fun of the AFC East for years for just drafting the quarterback year after year after year in the first round when you don't build the rest of the team. Granted, the rest of the New England Patriots is pretty ready. They just need a decent quarterback. And I think that's kind of where we'll begin with this on Mac Jones and how I feel. And I said it Thursday night, and I'll say it again. The Patriots did have a need at quarterback. We all knew that. Was Belichick going to acknowledge that? He has. Whether he was forced to do it by ownership, whether there was some sort of mandate, you got to draft a quarterback. They drafted a quarterback. They're telling you we saw the need there. He also fits, and what everybody's been saying, what the Patriots like to do. He fits the system they ran with Tom Brady for 20 years. You will not see the same offense this year that you saw last year, which was some patchwork thing with Cam Newton. You're going to see something similar to what you've seen out of the Patriots for the last 20 years. Mac Jones can do that. He can manage the game. He can make accurate, timely throws. Now, how long is it going to take him to get up to speed with NFL defenses? That I don't know. That is why I think it's important that they have Cam Newton. Because Mac Jones, while I believe first-round quarterback, I want to see you pushing to be the starter, is going to need time. All these quarterbacks are going to need time. If they had gotten Justin Fields, I would have wanted to see that quarterback sitting behind Cam, at least from the start of the season. So, the Patriots identified the need at quarterback. They realized they needed at least some hope, some future there. I'll say this. There were some versatile, high-quality defensive players on the board when the Patriots were picking. No one would have faulted them for going, oh, we're going to take Kwity Paye, who is basically Bill Belichick's dream, a 3-4, 4-3 outside linebacker, DN, mix and match. You can move him around all over the front 7 type of player, and then go get Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond on day 2 or day 3. Nobody would have faulted the Patriots for doing that. They went after a first-round quarterback, which comes with first-round expectations. But I'm going to say because Belichick did that and passed up on guys that are his type of guys, I'm going to say that they really believe in Mac Jones. And at first that night, I was worried about, Mac's saying all the right things, but don't you kind of want him to say, "Oh, I don't want to learn behind Cam and Sim. I'm excited to work with those guys. I'm excited to compete." Doesn't have to say, "Oh, I'm the starter because I'm the first round quarterback," but at least show a little something. From everything I've heard in the last couple days, this kid, where did he go? He went to Alabama. Nick Saban has coached him up on how to talk. It's his first press conference, or conferences. He's a young kid, and he's saying all the right things. From everything else I've heard about this guy's competitiveness and his kind of maniacal desire to win, Brady-esque. If that translates into him being like Tom Brady, which I think is an unrealistic expectation to put on any player. We've said this. The odds. No one's winning 7 Super Bowls. Maybe 8 now this year. Lord knows. But no one is ever doing that. You can never, ever, I don't think any player, let alone quarterback, will ever touch Tom Brady in what he's accomplished. So it's unrealistic to expect that. Here's my expectations for Mac Jones. Come in this year, sit behind Cam. If Cam's playing well, this team's talented. If Cam's playing well and the team's winning, Cam's your starter. It's worth running it back with him and having the young guy behind him. If the Patriots are struggling, they're 4-4, 3-5, and it's just like, put Mac Jones in. Let him play. Let him play. You drafted him in the first round. Let him play. Now, if the Patriots are successful this year with Cam, as long as they're winning and things are looking good, then it's okay for Mac to just be on the bench and learn and observe. Because I do think he's going to need to get up to speed on some things. Year 2, though, you better be the starter. There's no reason why you should not be the starter next year. God forbid say they even re-sign Cam again. And they just keep year after year. Cam's our bridge guy. If you can't beat that guy out by year 2, I'm concerned. So I want to see you being the starter year 2 and bringing the Patriots as the starter into playoff contention. I think they should be playoff contenders this year. We'll see. But with Mac Jones as the starter in year 2, you should be contending for the division and the playoffs. By year 3, it should be an expectation that, oh, no, the Patriots are making the playoffs. There's no reason they shouldn't. The way we would say with any other legitimate starting quarterback with this coach and with the talent that they're going to have on the roster. By year 4, you better be pushing for a conference championship. Show the progression from year to year to year to year to year. I think it's unrealistic to say win a Super Bowl in your first 4 years because it's just really hard to do. Patrick Mahomes did it. It's just hard. Tom Brady did it. It doesn't happen all that often. It does not happen all that often. Right? Ben Roethlisberger, another guy who had that happen. But first 2 years, almost impossible. It takes so many circumstances, so many things to go your way. So that's kind of my expectations for Mac Jones. I'm encouraged. The stories about him coaching up the women's flag football team and getting tossed from games and flashing his headlights in the parking lot when they win. Michael in the comment section, I see you. We're going to get to your comment too, but he points out Russell Wilson, another one. That's another good one. But I'll say this though about Russell Wilson, 3rd round, right? He came in there as a 3rd round guy, chip on his shoulder, won the starting spot. People forget the Seahawks signed Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn was supposed to be their savior, and Russell Wilson, drafted in the 3rd round, comes in and beats him out, and then wins a Super Bowl a year later. So, I'd say it's different. First round quarterbacks, there's a different level of expectation. So I'm trying to think of first round guys who won in their first 2 years. Mahomes, it was year 3, but really year 2. I mean, year 2 of him being a starter. But if you sit for a year, it's a whole nother thing. It throws a wrench into it. It's really hard. Anybody expecting Mac Jones, if say he wins the starting job this year, the Patriots aren't going to win a Super Bowl with Mac Jones in year 1. They're just not. It's just it takes experience, and if you don't have experience, you better have a whole heck of a lot of individual talent. And that's not how I view Mac Jones. I view Mac Jones as quarterback. Plug in and play, quarterback, which is all we were asking for last year as Patriots fans. Oh my God, just give me somebody who can read the play and deliver the ball on time and where it needs to be. Mac Jones should be able to do that. Can he be a star quarterback? We'll find out. And as Michael has pointed out in the comment section, can't trust Alabama quarterbacks in the NFL. You're right. At least not in the last 40 years. I mean, you can go back like 50 years to find some guys, but I don't think that really applies anymore. You don't know. Is Mac Jones a product of, this has been the narrative, is he a product of the talent around him? And it's just college and you just run a system and guess what? Play action, RPO, whatever. I'm just looking at one guy. I'm making one read. Oh, Devonta Smith's open? Great. I'm going to bomb it down the field. I will say this, though. From watching some of his tape, he did have guys running wide open to throw to. But I also watched him throw guys open and throw balls into tight spots. Now, again, that's in college. And you're working with some of the best wide receivers. At least the Patriots went out and acquired talent to put around whoever their quarterback was going to be this year. So if Mac Jones was working with like the slop heap that the Patriots had at the skill positions last year, I'd be very concerned. I would definitely not play him. I'd be like, let Cam work with this garbage again. I don't want Mac Jones to get ruined. I'm interested to see. I'm a little more hopeful today than I was on draft night because at least you have a guy. And then the Patriots did follow it up, and we said we'll judge this draft kind of by what do they do the rest of the draft. So they get Mac Jones at the 15th pick. Surprising everybody, people expected, the Patriots trade back again. What are they going to do in day 2? They trade up and get Christian Barmore, viewed as one of the best defensive tackles in the draft. What was a major problem last year in the Patriots defense was stopping plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL doing that. When Adrian Phillips, when your safety leads your team in tackles for loss with like 4, that's not good at all. And I think I have a special delivery. Thank you. You need coffee. Can't function on a solo show without coffee. Whoops, and I almost spilled it. That would have been tragic. And breakfast, but I think I can function for at least an hour without eating. Can't function without caffeine, though, so bear with me here as we prepare to caffeinate. Courtesy of The Poorhouse in the Narragansett Pier. Worth checking out, everybody, for listening. If you're in the Rhode Island area, Narragansett Pier, where in typical Rhode Island fashion, where Dunkin' used to be, in the pier is now The Poorhouse, a fantastic coffee shop. They have PVD donuts on the weekends, so if you want your sugar, you want your donut fix, go there. Coffee's great. Everybody in there's great. And I'm going to take a big giant sip. I said 16 ounces. This looks like 24. I'm not going to complain. There we go. Caffeinated. As I was saying, when the Patriots, when your safety with like 4 tackles for loss leads your team in tackles for loss, this is not good. They were terrible at the line of scrimmage. And they illustrated that in their free agent moves, going after edge guys, bringing back some of their linebackers they're familiar with, Kyle Van Noy's back. Going and getting this guy is awesome. Barmore. I mean, this is the report. So overall, New England started the second day of the draft by making a move up the board to add to its defensive front 7. The Patriots shipped 3 total draft picks to Cincinnati to jump ahead 8 spots and ended up selecting possibly the best defensive tackle in this year's draft. Barmore offers an intriguing mix of size, explosion, and positional versatility, something Belichick loves, and should be a mainstay on the New England D-line for years to come due to his ability to contribute in the running game and as an interior pass rusher. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Love this pick. Also, roll tide. We're just going all Alabama guys. But when you get a quarterback, which, we said you needed a quarterback, and then you get the best D tackle in the draft, pretty good. They followed up on day 2 with Ronnie Perkins from Oklahoma. And he's going to be just in the mix with these guys now. Judon, Van Noy, Chase Vinovich, Josh Uche, throw in Perkins, to add to that pass rush. Patriots defense is going to be really good. And this is why you look at it and say, do you need Trevor Lawrence type quarterback? Do you need Justin Fields? Or if you're looking at what, guys who are starters, do we need a Russell Wilson? Do we need a Deshaun Watson? Do we need an Aaron Rodgers? If you've got this defense, and maybe this is where Belichick is again trying to maybe he's hell-bent on winning this way. He wants to try and win it like he won in 01. I just want a quarter in 03, kind of. Brady was starting to emerge more in 03, but I just want a quarterback that's going to make the right play, manage the game, don't make mistakes, and I'm going to win it with defense, special teams, and skill position guys, and just an efficient quarterback. Which is why we thought like they'd be fine going after somebody like Alex Smith. That's Alex Smith. Here's the thing, and I'll throw this out to you, Patriot Nation. If Mac Jones isn't anything more than Alex Smith, is that a bust? Does he need to be more? Nobody's expecting him to be more talent-wise. Does he need to win more? If Mac Jones just gives you what Alex Smith could give you, is it worth it? I think obviously if you're not in a conference championship game again in a couple of years with Mac Jones as your starter, if Cam Newton gets you there this year, that's awesome. But then you're going to start questioning, why did we draft Mac Jones when you could have had other guys? It'll be interesting. It's going to be really, really, really interesting to see how it plays out. So, no real surprises after that. There was one surprise. Peyton Turner, kind of a reach for the New Orleans Saints late in the draft. They get kind of a sleeper D lineman. And I'd say day 2. Oh, by the way, Kwity Paye to the Colts. I wanted Kwity Paye bad in the Patriots. So that was the one thing. I was disappointed, but I'm gonna root for that guy. His story is incredible. Local guy, Rhode Island. So I'm going to be rooting for the Colts a little bit this year. If the Patriots aren't good and we have to roll with Mac Jones and it's just like, hey, it's a war of attrition this year. Go ahead, kid. Go ahead and learn. And I got to pick a second team. It might be the Colts. I'll say an intriguing pick on day 2 is that the Buccaneers took Kyle Trask. And immediately all of the meme stuff was like, when will he get traded in, 2026 when Brady, signs his next contract? Oh, goodness. So the Buccaneers have their heir apparent to Tom Brady. How often have we heard that before? It'll be interesting to see. Did Bruce Arians come out and talk about Tom's age and contract status? We'll have to keep an eye on that. But if I was grading the Patriots draft, I'd give this an A this year. They get a running back in the 4th round, Ramondre Stevenson, Oklahoma. So they go 2 Alabama guys and they go 2 Oklahoma guys. Cameron McRone, linebacker from Michigan. Joshua Bledsoe, safety from Missouri. William Sherman, tackle from Colorado in the 6th round. And then a wide receiver, Trey Nixon, Central Florida, in the 7th round. Heavy on the defense, which is what we expected. Go for your quarterback, then go heavy on the defense. And they pick up a running back, not surprised. Patriots are always good for a 4th or 5th round running back. And that's kind of just how they've been operating the last couple of years and just kind of restocking that stable of running backs. And then they get a receiver, Trey Nixon, in the 7th round. I'd give the Patriots an A in this draft. It's an A. Now, obviously, I want to see how some of these guys pan out. I can't wait for training camp because we're going to know right away, day 1, if Mac Jones looks good, people are going to be feeling great. And if Cam Newton looks good, it's going to be great. The minute Cam Newton starts to struggle in a real game, Gillette Stadium will be booing like crazy and chanting for Mac Jones. So I obviously want the team to succeed. I want to see Mac Jones succeed. I'm a little hesitant, but I'm more encouraged by the pick that at least they have a guy. Colin in the comment section, not if they have a top-ranked defense. I'm not sure. Not if they have a top-ranked defense. Not sure what that was in reference to. But He also adds, I'm overall very pleased with the draft. Addressed pretty much every area of need. Didn't make any major reaches. Got some steals. Didn't get my guy at QB. Yep. But I need to give him a chance when it's his turn. Exactly. My favorite from this whole class is McGrone, both because of his name and because, damn, the guy is so fast, and even though pretty undersized, his motor makes him appear unstoppable. BB loves his Michigan linebackers. Yep. Can be a super explosive box linebacker / safety type playmaker for them. Yeah, no, this draft is great. And we said this is a very, very, very important draft for the Patriots and for Bill Belichick. He's been hearing the noise from his owner that they haven't drafted well. And not only do you need to draft well to kind of shut up that narrative that they haven't drafted well in the last couple of years, but all the money you spent in free agency, you need to supply your team now with young, cheap talent. You have to. It's the only way the Patriots, because you look at the teams that draft really well, the teams that draft really well stay successful longer. Teams that just go out and spend $180 million in free agency. Maybe they're successful in year one, maybe in year two, and then it goes downhill really fast. You look at the trend. The teams that have spent the most in free agency the last few years, in recent memory, they don't win. Now, obviously, not every team has Bill Belichick. Not every team, has that guy to be able to coach up the talent. They're just trying to throw talent on the field. And all these situations are different. Mike also chimes in, I feel bad for the Jets. AFC East is tough. Well, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, you look now, aside from Cam Newton, if he's the starting quarterback this year, it's a really young division with the quarterbacks. Between Mac Jones, you got Tua, now Wilson in New York, and Josh Allen up in Buffalo. What's interesting now, the AFC East is a tough division. I think there are really good coaches coaching every team. Because it was a laughingstock for 20 years. Now, Brady and Belichick being the best at their respective positions, head coach and quarterback, kind of made it that way. It just by the psychology of it, these teams just would overthink themselves, and they knew they were staring up at the Patriots, and they were intimidated. And a lot of them made a lot of big mistakes, both with players they signed, with coaches they signed, decisions they'd make in games. They would crap themselves at times. And that's why the Patriots ruled the AFC East for 20 years. Now, I think you've got competent coaches everywhere. Belichick is still the best coach. I don't know who the best... Oh, I do know. Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the AFC East with the Bills. And their coaching situation is nothing to laugh at. They've got good coaches. So that team is the team to beat. I really don't know how I'd order it. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the Jets do. I mean, they added talent too, and they have good coaching. I don't know what Zach Wilson's going to be able to do year one, right? You never know. Justin Herbert played great last year. They still won 4 games. So I'd expect the Jets, if Wilson plays the whole year, win 4 or 5 games. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Miami. I mean, Tua, yes, does he have the keys to the car right now? Sure. What happens in a couple weeks when maybe the Deshaun Watson situation gets resolved and he can be traded now? I'm not sure how sold the Dolphins are on Tua. So we'll find out. But obviously, if Deshaun Watson comes to the AFC East, now we're talking about a division. Whoa. Colin says, my first comment was an answer to, do they need more than an Alex Smith type quarterback to be successful? And so not if they have a top ranked defense. That's what I'm saying. And I think that's what Belichick wants. I think if he's going to be forced to have a quarterback, he's going to make it Alex Smith. He doesn't want the Camry anymore. He doesn't want a broken down 20-something-year-old car, which is Cam Newton, I think. And he ain't going to have the Lamborghini. There's no shot they trade for Aaron Rodgers, everybody. Anybody that even floats that notion out there. Do you even want Aaron Rodgers? Do you want that prima donna on your team for Lord knows what price? That situation is going to be interesting. So he's not going to have that. Russell Wilson, same deal. It's not happening. But give me my Lexus. Is Alex Smith a Lexus? I don't know. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is a Lexus. It would be just like a step back from a Lexus. Give me, he's like a, I'm trying to think of a really good car comparison. If Cam Newton's the 20-year-old Toyota Camry, Jimmy Garoppolo's the Lexus, what is Alex Smith then? Alex Smith is just like a Honda Civic? Is that what Alex Smith is? He's like a CRV, something like that. I don't know. Comment section, help me out. Throw out some car options here for Alex Smith. In his career, what you got from him. Obviously, right now, Alex Smith is retired, so he's not giving anybody anything. But for what Alex Smith was, I think of him as just median average quarterback. What would be the car comparison for that? Just like a Ford Focus? Is that Alex Smith? It's a Ford Focus. A 2012 Ford Focus. That's Alex Smith. So, yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel about this Patriots team right now. I can't wait for training camps to open. At the end of the day, though, we said this on the draft show. We talk about all these teams. Patriots make all these moves in free agency. They draft like an A+ draft. Patriots aren't winning a Super Bowl this year. I'll be stunned. Can the Chiefs get back there? Maybe. Maybe it's the Bills' year this year. We don't know. Is anybody touching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is this all just academic? And Tom Brady is going to win another Super Bowl. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. That's the scary thing. Now, luckily, football is not like the NBA, where if you have a super team, you just know it's inevitable. Football, there's so much that can go wrong. And so much has to go right for you to win a Super Bowl. So it's not just a given. But if there's a given in the end, it's pretty close to being a given. Jake in the comment section, all the best QBs in today's NFL have some type of mobility to their game, and that's what worries me about Mac Jones. I'll say this about that. I'll agree. That's where I liked Justin Fields, but I think Bill is, and probably Josh McDaniels too, maybe they're a little hesitant to go that way. They're not willing to admit that the NFL has gone that way. Now, Tom Brady, if it was like 3rd and 4, I'd see him do it in like the Super Bowl, right? That type of like gotta have it moment. If he's outside of the pocket and there's really like daylight, take off and get the 4 yards. But for the most part, he was just standing back there, and the field could be, the seas could part, and he wasn't taking off and running. He was just going to hang in the pocket. Mac Jones, at least he has the ability. Is he going to take off like Patrick Mahomes and like scramble for 20 yards? Absolutely not. No shot. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, no. Not a shot. He's not going to be Cam Newton either, where you just use him as like a bludgeoning tool, and it's like we're just ramming him in on the goal line. That ain't happening either. 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, you run some crossing routes, man coverage, and it's like the right side is wide open. I think Mac Jones can scramble and pick you up 4 or 5 yards, and would be willing to do so. But is he going to be like Fields? Is he going to be like Lawrence? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Can they win without that? I think you still can. Tom Brady proved you can. Now, that's Tom Brady. But if you just look at Tom Brady as far as what makes him great, it's reading the defenses at an elite level, and it's taking care of the football. That's really what's incredible about Brady is that it's what always happens. We've said this. There's talent, and then there's experience. And where the talent meets the experience is what is your prime. And then what happens is your talent starts to decline. You have all this experience, but your body just can't do it anymore. That was Peyton Manning at the end. Peyton Manning had every bit as much of the brain as Tom Brady did. His arm just went bleh, noodle arm at the end. Physically could not do it anymore. That's what happens to a lot of quarterbacks. Happened to Drew Brees last year. Drew Brees could still read defenses. He just couldn't deliver the ball. And teams knew it. That hasn't happened yet with Tom Brady, which is scary. So he's got 20-odd years of football knowledge and experience to draw on. He's seen every defense. Can recognize, diagnose everything. Know exactly who's going to be open and how and where and when and why. and could still get the football there. That's what's incredible about Tom Brady. That's why he's a unicorn. You're not going to see that ever again. We talked about the odds of somebody winning 7 Super Bowls. We went through all the things that could happen. It's more likely that we find intelligent life on another planet or another galaxy than another player winning 7, maybe 8 Super Bowls. That's how often that's going to happen. So, it's crazy. Keeping up with the comment section here. Thank you guys for tuning in the comment section. Solo show today, no Christian, so it's just me. So the comments help, along with the caffeine break. Hold on. There we go. Nitro cold brew, keeping it going. From Colin. Also, now that they've spent time addressing both offensive and defensive line, both in free agency and at the draft, they should focus on skill position in the next year's draft, especially if they can extend Trent Brown, cornerback to replace Gilly, and wide receiver. We've seen that Mac can be successful with speedy receivers that can create space. Yes. Yep, I agree. It'll also be exciting for, the 2 tight end stuff now that they can do. Last year, the Patriots have plays where they'll have like a trip set, and they love to always bring the tight end just across the formation off play action. They've done that for years with Gronk, and he gets wide open, and you just dump it to the tight end. It's like a 5-yard pass, and that guy has a whole side of the field to run. They would run those plays last year. Guys would be open. Ryan Izzo, wide open, right? Asiasi, wide open, and Cam's like overthrowing him or throwing it in the dirt. And it's like, just like lob the ball. He's going to get 20 yards. Mac Jones is going to be able to make those plays. And guess what? You don't have Ryan Izzo and Devin Asiasi anymore. You got the 2 best tight ends in the NFL. So if he's asked to just make little simple plays, they're going to be successful without the speed. He just has to be accurate and be able to read the play. That's to be successful. Winning a championship, whole nother level. They're going to need to add some speed to the outside. I agree. I am also surprised, we talked about if the Patriots didn't go quarterback at 15, as you said, Colin, replacing Gilmore. Does Gilmore stay? Does he sign an extension? Does he still want to get traded? Does he hold out like he kind of did last year? We don't know yet. J.C. Jackson, that dude's going to get paid. He's playing for his contract. So if they didn't go quarterback and one of these corners were available in the draft in the first round, there was a potential the Patriots could go that way and then get a day 2 quarterback. There were so many permutations and options. Now, obviously, we kind of have a better sense of where they're going. Focus next year's draft, cheap offensive talent. Because you're not going to be able to just keep paying in free agency like you did this year. Nick says, I'm calling it right now, Pats Bucks Super Bowl. As much as that would be great, it's not happening. It's not happening. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening right now. Things can change. 2 weeks into the season last year, we were like, wow, this Patriots defense, even after the Kansas City game, we're saying, hey, guess what? 2-2, get Cam Newton back. The way this defense is playing, they could be in an AFC Championship game, and it was all downhill from there. So we'll see what it looks like when this team is actually on the field, and it'll come down to the quarterback play. I think if Cam Newton can return to form and be accurate and his skill set and his versatility, they're a playoff team, and with the defense, they could maybe go on a run. I'll say this, though. What's more intriguing for you, Pats Bucks Super Bowl? If Cam Newton gets you there or if Mac Jones gets you there? Which is better? Brady versus the true guy who's trying to replace him? Is it even matter who the quarterback is? Is it Brady versus Bill? That's what's interesting, bottom line. Bill's going to use his forward-focused quarterback to take on the Lamborghini. And forward-focused coach. Is Bruce Arians the forward focus of NFL coaches? Jake talking about Brady. Those avocados are paying off. Yeah, the diet, man. I'll tell you what. I don't know if TB12 works for everybody. I'll tell you who it works for. It works for TB12. I can't argue with results. The dude is going to be 44 years old Or 44 already? 45? How old is Tom Brady now? 55? 75? Is he going to play till he's 50 and we're actually not even going to be surprised? He's 43 right now. He'll be 44 in August. Unbelievable. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Can't say much more than that about Tom Brady. Michael wants to know what happens to Jarrett Stidham now. I think Stidham probably gets cut. And if he doesn't get cut, that's alarming because it means that Mac Jones has not even won the backup job. Because Mac Jones is on the roster. That's a given. I think Cam Newton is on this roster. Bill has told you as much. Cam Newton is our starter. Okay. You don't have to say that. Bill, you never offer up any amount of truth, and you're just going to come out and be like, no, we're going to admit right now Cam Newton's our starter. Why? Maybe it's to keep, Mac Jones on an even keel. Hey, nothing's given. You still have to earn it. It's just that game within the game. But I would say Jarrett Stidham probably gets cut in training camp. Right at the end, right? He'll get a chance to play in the last preseason game. And maybe Mac Jones plays the first quarter, and then they let Stidham play like the next 3, and that way he can showcase himself and maybe get onto a practice squad somewhere, or, some team has an injury to a backup. They just wanted a backup, right? This guy was a Tom Brady understudy. Maybe we can turn him into something someday. That's what happens with second and third quarterbacks. People pluck them and say, this guy was a... look at Blaine Gabbert. He's bounced around. Guy's a bust, but he's bounced around because people say, well, maybe I'm the one who can someday turn him into something. Stidham better not be on this team. If he is on this team, that's concerning for the development of Mac Jones. Colin says, replying to Michael, oh, hello. I have a dog now as well, so I've got coffee. I've got doggos. It's a loaded 360 Sports show today, folks. This is Chewbacca. Can everybody see Chewbacca? If you're on the live stream, Chewie, you gotta say hi. You wanna get up in the chair? He's like, no. I need to go now. I'll let him out. You wanna go back out? There you go. We've got everything here today. It's an exciting Sunday. Michael, or Colin replying to Michael. So we got the comment section. We've got discourse happening here. The way Belichick is making it sound is that they'll move forward with 3 QBs for now, but we'll see. LOL. Yeah, that's why he's making it sound. But I'm telling you what, I don't want Stidham on this team because that makes me concerned that Mac Jones isn't developing. Nick says Mac Jones because he is already drawing comparisons to Tom Brady as far as who he'd want to see playing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl if the Patriots and the Bucs played, which would be great theater. The NFL would love that. Tom Brady, who people hate, trying to win back-to-back, trying to win his 8th, best player in league history. Then you also have the Patriots, who are hated, loathed, and Belichick with his young quarterback. I think collectively, everyone outside of Tampa Bay in New England would absolutely despise that because it's a no-win situation for the rest of the league fan bases. The NFL would love it. The NFL, we think, does the NFL did they hate the Patriots? Did they hate Tom Brady? No. They love Tom Brady. They love the Patriots. Want to know why? Because people tune in to see them lose, to root against them. If this year's Super Bowl is 49ers, Bills, I don't really think that's drawing a big... People still watch the Super Bowl. Patriots, Buccaneers, I think pretty much every TV in America is tuned to that. Nobody's saying, I'll catch the second half. That's not happening if that's the matchup. Jake wants next year's draft for the Patriots. I hope the Pats load up on wide receivers and running backs, get as many weapons around Mac as possible, and give him a shot. Feel like we're lacking playmakers. I wouldn't say we're lacking playmakers. I just think they've added a lot of guys in free agency, and we just don't even know what they are yet. I mean, this is a remade team. Offensively, this is a remade team. So, especially with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Those two guys are playmakers. And they're going to run a whole hell of a lot of 2 tight end sets. I agree on running back. I mean, you got Damian Harris. James White is back for a year. We'll see how the kid they drafted pans out. You never know. Let's see. Stevenson out of Oklahoma. Let's see what it says about him. He's a big-bodied runner who has upside as an early down and short yardage back. Okay. He joins a deep running back group, but one that could see departures of Sony Michel. Oh, yeah, Sony. And James White next offseason. While not suited to replace White, he could be groomed to take over Sony Michel's role in 2022. I'd say they'll probably also pick up guys. There's always a guy who gets cut. And that like third down back role, everybody always said, oh my God, who's going to replace Kevin Falk? Like Kevin Falk's saying, how are we going to replace Kevin Falk if we lose Kevin Falk? We got Danny Woodhead. Oh God, we're losing Danny Woodhead. How are we going to replace Danny Woodhead? Oh, we drafted Shane Vereen. Oh, we can't let Shane Vereen go in free agency. How are we going to replace? Oh, we drafted James White. It's kind of just, the Patriots do this with running backs. They draft them and they let them sit for a year and then they take over somebody's spot. But I agree. That is a spot, that running back spot. And it'll be interesting to see, especially if they had drafted Justin Fields. Maybe I'd say you don't need that third down back, that same type of back. You just put 5 wide receivers on the field or 2 tight ends and 3 receivers. Let that running quarterback or that quarterback who's got more of the mobility be the third down guy because he's going to go and get that easy 3 yards. Mac Jones, you're going to want a James White. You're going to need a guy like that to run in that offense. Colin says that Stevenson is the best pass blocking running back in the draft. So, plenty of time to parse through and discuss what the Patriots are doing. I know they're going to be having off seasons. It's still going to be a little different than it was last year, and it is normally. But it'll be exciting to see the first time we get to see Mac Jones out there throwing against competition, whatever you want to call mandatory mini camps. And I'll be excited to see if Christian's changed his mind. He went back and forth on Thursday during the live draft show. Did he like the pick? Did he not like the pick? We'll see next week how 10 days out from the draft how Christian feels. I want to transition quickly here to the NBA. And I want to hit on 2 things. I want to talk about the playoffs are around the corner. But I want to talk about the Boston Celtics. 32-point comeback against the San Antonio Spurs the other night. Jason Tatum drops 60 points in the win. The guy I was most excited about from that is Aaron Nesmith, who I wanted the Celtics to draft, mostly because of his 3-point shooting. He has surprised me with his defense and his hustle. The Celtics radio guys have started nicknaming him Crash. Gerald Wallace already had that nickname. But I think you could give that to Aaron Nesmith now because the dude is just hustling out there and throwing himself all over the floor, and he's earned a spot in the rotation with defense and hustling. And guess what? The offense is coming along now as well. He had 16 points in that game. I mean, obviously they needed every single point they could get. And I'll say this about the Celtics, and Michael says this, Celtics are trash, can't play consistent. I'll agree. It's tough to feel really good about that comeback because it was against a bad team. You come back from 32 points down, guess what that means? You were 32 points down against one of the bottom feeders in the league. That's not good. But coming back to win. They made a comeback in that game. How many times do you see teams make comebacks and then still lose the game? So it's like, I liked how we played in the second half, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, but you didn't win. Celtics came back and won. That takes a lot. That's impressive. And they showed what they can be in the second half of that game. That Jason Tatum is a dude. That Jaylen Brown is a professional scorer and one of the best two-way players in the NBA. That the Celtics have, if you have guys like Nesmith and Smart understanding their roles, and if Fournier can at least get some consistency of being on the floor, and you've got Time Lord back, this Celtics team is dangerous. They can beat anybody. Are they going to show up and have their head screwed on straight and play like that from the jump? Don't get down 32 points and then start playing. It's great that you prove that you have that in you. I hope that's a turning point for them. Now, when you have like a season, this is what happened. We said this about them last year, and then the shutdown happened, and then it was basically like a new season when they started in the bubble. But when you have to say, oh, is this the turning point 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times throughout a season? Guess what? You're an inconsistent team. Can they finally find the consistency? And they're running out of time because the playoffs are coming. You can't play that way in the playoffs and expect to win, especially if, God forbid, you're in the play-in round. Right? So, we'll talk about the play-in round in a second. I'm excited for the Celtics. I'm glad they showed that that's what they can be. I think they can beat anybody if they show up and play the right way. I love Brad Stevens. I loved Brad Stevens. Let me find the exact quote from him after that game, because it made me think. Some of the biggest comebacks they've had in years past. He's had very. So this is what Jared Weiss said. Stevens says he told the team at halftime that the Garden crowd never boos unless. I think there was only like 3,200 people there. It sounded like 16,000. They were booing the crap out of that team. Never boos unless they deserve it, and in that he appreciates the fans who stuck around because he would have left. He said his daughter was leaving because she had better things to do than watch them suck, which is awesome. And it made me think, Evan Turner, who is now a Celtics coach, had talked about this moment in 2016, because I said that Brad has had some notoriously blunt halftime messages. This one in 2016, I was remembering, if you don't play hard, you don't deserve to win. Celtics played like maniacs and beat the Grizzlies in that game. He basically came in at halftime and said, you guys suck. You're an embarrassment. If you don't play hard, you don't deserve to win. And then the Celtics came out and played like, cats on fire in the second half of that game. Beat the Grizzlies. They played like cats on fire in the second half of that Spurs game and won. Showed gumption. They showed something. If you just play that way to start a game, you don't have to play like you're out of your mind in the second half to come back and beat bad teams. So I don't know what the Celtics can be or will be. I know this. They have the talent to beat anybody on a given night. They haven't shown the consistency to me for me to have any confidence in them beating somebody in a 7-game series. Anybody. They have the talent to, but be good and be on for 4 games. It's looking like a team that could take 7 games to beat anybody. And hopefully they're not in the play-in round, because 1 game and your season's over potentially. So I want to break this down because everybody's been asking, and I'll admit even I wasn't necessarily sure how exactly it's going to work. But here's the deal, right? And you know what? I can put up a nice little graphic here. So for those of you watching in the live stream, you'll get to see this. So here we go. I can get rid of this caption here. This is your playoffs for the NBA. 1 through 6, you're in. Congratulations, you've made the playoffs. Teams 7 through 10, you got to earn it. There's one more step left. So the 7th place and the 8th place teams will play each other. The winner is in, and they become the 7th seed. The loser gets a second chance. 9 through 10 play. Loser, you're done. The winner plays the loser of the 7th and 8th place game, and that team that wins is the 8th seed. So if you're a 7 or you're an 8 seed, you just got to win 1 game and you're in. You've secured your playoff spot. You could lose 1. You basically get 2 chances to win 1 game. If you're the 9 or the 10, you got to win 2 games. Have to win 2 games to get in. Which somebody put, actually no, it's not a given. It's not a given that somebody will. The 7 and the 8 could just still be the 7 and the 8. So, but the 8th seed could, lose 1, win 1. I actually hope, and this is what we'll do too. I hope that a 10 seed makes it, because you're going to have this playing round, and then if the expansion teams don't get in, I'd be disappointed. So make sure this is still showing up good on this side. Yep. So here's your Eastern Conference right now. Nets, Sixers, locked in. Bucks, yeah, they're pretty much locked into that 3 spot. The Knicks are the 4 seed. Game behind them is the Hawks. Half game behind them is the Celtics. The Celtics and Heat tied for the 6 and 7 spot. Dangerous position to be in. Celtics play the Trailblazers today. You don't want to be in this play-in round. Because if they are, Celtics are playing the Hornets. Gordon Hayward could come back and send you packing. Or at least you lose to imagine this, Celtics fans. You're the 7 seed. After all the games you blew a 24-point lead against the Pelicans. You lost games to Detroit and Houston. All these losses. This is where it comes back to bite you. You have to play the play-in round. You lose to the Hornets in the first game, and then you play the Wizards in the second game. And Hayward sends you packing, and then Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook just go off. And now the Celtics, with all this talent and all these expectations, are sitting home after 2 games. That would be brutal. And it's not that hard to imagine. So, Celtics fans, let's look at your schedule here. Blazers today at 7:30. The Magic, the Bulls, 2 games against the Heat. The Celtics, you should need to win both of those games to have some tie-breaking advantage over the Heat. Then you get the Cavs, Timberwolves, Knicks. That Knicks game, also going to be really important. Or it could not be. That last game of the regular season against the Knicks, maybe it's not important because the standings have already kind of locked themselves in. But I think this is interesting. I mean, the Wizards are a very intriguing 10 seed. You got Beal and Westbrook. Those guys can steal games. So I'd be rooting for the Wizards to win in the play-in tournament, as long as it's not against the Celtics. The Bulls and the Raptors are like, there's time, but 3 games with only a few, I think like 7-8 games left might not be enough time for them to pull up. Western Conference, Jazz and Suns, top 2 teams. Nuggets, Clippers, Mavericks, Lakers. The Lakers, the defending champions who have been just like slogging along here without LeBron and AD. Only a game out of the play-in round. And again, it doesn't matter if LeBron comes back and is healthy and Anthony Davis. You're in that play-in round. It could be against the Warriors. Stephen Curry could just drop 70 points, and guess what? You're going home. Crazy to think about. So those, interesting teams. Warriors looking like they're going to be in this playing round. The Spurs, too. Spurs are just an interesting case. They're 500, and they don't really have any superstar power, but they play hard. And obviously they have one of the best coaches in league history in Greg Popovich, who looks like a wizard, by the way, with that long hair. Pelicans are 3 games out. Again, is there enough time for them? The Kings, man. Kings are 5.5 games out. The Kings didn't sell at the trade deadline. They bought at the trade deadline instead of getting assets for guys, and now they're not going to make the playoffs anyways. As we expected. Bad teams doing bad things will stay bad. No surprise. So, NBA playoffs, when do the playoffs start? I believe it's May 18th. So May 18th through the 21st is when the play-in tournament will begin. And then after that is when the normal playoffs will start. So that is going to do it for today's show. Short show because no Christian today. But he will be back next week. If you wanted more reaction to the draft, more the other teams, go watch or rewatch or listen to our live draft show. We were live for the entire first round, pretty much, on Thursday night, about 4 hours of coverage. So go give that a listen. That's available on Facebook, YouTube, even back on the Twitter feed at 360 Sports Show. You can go find the live stream if you want to see the video of it. We got pretty loopy there at the end. It was actually a very fun and entertaining evening. If you also want to take it on the go, the podcast of the show is available through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcast from. It is on every single possible and conceivable platform. All of our social media has links in their bios and descriptions to go subscribe to a litany of platforms and to catch the live show. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in and joined in with me here on the live broadcast in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you have a great week. Enjoy the beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. Take it easy now, everybody.